We are live. Hello, critical thinkers. Hope all is well. Hope all is well. This is the second live stream for tonight, second and last one. This live stream won't be too long. I will not go that deep, but I will go into the past and go over one or two live streams I've done in reference to today's topic. And that today's topic is in regards to workers' compensation fraud. We have five correction officers in Ulster County arrested for defrauding New York State through workers' compensation. Before we get to that, please do me a favor if you have the opportunity. Please like the stream, like the video, share it with someone, comment below. Let me know where you are watching from. That'll be greatly appreciated. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. About 75% of the viewers view but haven't subscribed yet, and many of whom have watched at least 5 or more videos or live streams. Let's make it official. Put a ring on it. Hit that subscribe button. Click the bell notification icon so that you can be notified when I go live, and let's make it official, okay? So let's move on, and I do want to play for you a very quick summary video of what occurred in Ulster County with the announcement from state police and the New York State Inspector General, Lucy Lang's office, in reference to workers' compensation fraud and 5 correction officers that have been arrested. I'm going to pull up that video now for you. Enjoy.
Correction officers in Ulster County have been arrested as part of a months-long investigation into workers' compensation abuse. Investigators say the officers submitted false medical documents while employed at Ulster and Wallkill prisons. The alleged schemes included forging out-of-work notes for non-existent doctor visits and claiming a disability while working as a paid health aide. While some defendants resigned or were terminated, 2 remain employed by the Department of Corrections. All 5 are being charged with grand larceny.
Okay, so that was just a brief summary of what occurred. Obviously, we are going to go much deeper than that and go into the specifics, the names of the correction officers, the circumstances. For those of you who are new to the channel, 7-8 months ago, I did a live stream exposing workers' compensation fraud with correction officers, with the fraud being the most prevalent in New York State, since they make up a fraction of the workforce, but the workers' compensation fraud cases being close to, I believe it was 43%, which is astronomically high. So I want to give you some context. I'm going to play for you another video to lay the foundation before I go into the article discussing the most recent arrest. Here you'll have the New York State Inspector General, Lucy Lang, whose office is responsible for investigating fraud and corruption in New York State offices. So I'm going to pull this up now. Hopefully there's no issues with the audio. Do me a favor and please write a 1 in the chat if my audio sounds cool and crisp. Write a 1 in the chat. That'll be greatly appreciated. If the audio doesn't sound cool and crisp, write 2. But hopefully all is well, and I'll have no issues playing this video for you because I'm doing so in a different fashion. So I'm going to play a segment of an interview by Lucy Lang. Again, this is 7-8 months ago. I covered this on my channel. So let me pull this up, and we'll listen to Lucy Lang speak.
Contrary to what one might think, the vast majority of these workers' compensation claims are unrelated to any contact with an incarcerated person. They're related to your standard kind of workplace injuries. What happens when a corrections officer is out on workers' compensation leave is that their colleagues end up having to work overtime, to work double or even triple shifts. And unfortunately, due to a provision in the contract, there's a real incentive for docs officers to go out on workers' compensation, and there aren't the same limitations that there are in other comparable industries, like, for example, the police, who have to stay at home when they're home on workers' compensation leave, and so it can be easily monitored. So it's very difficult for us to even pursue fraud cases against docs officers who may be maybe abusing that very generous provision because of the fact that it does not have those limitations on it. So as a result, we see huge numbers of facilities that have very large numbers of officers who are out on workers' compensation leave, resulting in understaffing. And the first thing to go when staffing numbers are down are the kind of programs that folks rely on to help facilitate their success when they come home. And that includes the truly mission critical vocational and educational programs that we know are the core of enabling people to successfully rehabilitate and reintegrate.
What do you recommend then to try and provide some guardrails around that?
We have recommended that there be a real assessment of the provision as it exists and that there be continued vigilance to those claims.
And this goes back to a report from 2 years ago. Is that right?
I don't want to misspeak, but
Okay.
I believe it was 23.
Okay. So within the last few years.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, a recent report.
Okay.
And Tom, I know.
Okay, people. I'm gonna stop it. I'm gonna stop it now. The reason why is because I think she said what I wanted to play for the people. Basically, Lucy Lang had made some recommendations. Sorry, Lisa Lang, not Lucy Lang. That's an actress. Lisa Lang had made some recommendations to the Office of Employee Relations in reference to the guardrails. What should be done? The workers' compensation benefit covers 100% of correction officer pay for 6 months. There's incentive for correction officers to file these claims because they're getting 100% of the pay. In addition, that the public doesn't know is that they're not required to stay at home. You had many correction officers who were claiming workers' compensation, and then in turn, they would leave the country. They would even leave the state and go on these vacations. And that was permitted based on the provision in the collective bargaining agreement. So I just wanted to give you some context. By the way, the recommendations that she made were not implemented. Mainstream media is not really covering this story. You figure a widespread corruption case would be covered, but the mainstream media refuses to cover this. Lisa Lang hasn't really been covered, and it's very unfortunate. So I want to jump ahead to the article, the recent news in reference to these correction officers who were arrested for workers' compensation fraud. So I'm going to pull that up now. Pull up that article. That article is from News 10. Here we go. Okay. 5 Ulster County prison guards arrested in fraud investigation. The writer is Cassie Abel. On Thursday, the New York State Police and State Inspector General's Office announced the arrest of 5 correction officers in Ulster County. Officials said the arrest stemmed from an 18-month-long investigation into workers' compensation abuses. Investigators said 5 defendants allegedly submitted false medical documentation or engaged in prohibited employment while collecting salaries at the Ulster and the Wildkill correctional facilities. The correction officers were identified as 41-year-old Christine Donovan, 42-year-old Jeremy LaChance, 36-year-old Ashley Paulino, 49-year-old Brian Porter, and 34-year-old Anthony Tacti. The fact that these schemes were perpetrated by sworn public officers who were entrusted with maintaining the safety and security of New York's correctional facilities and those within them makes the charged conduct even more egregious. Ulster County District Attorney Emmanuel Nenji said, "The type of conduct involved here gives a bad name to scrupulous public officers, regardless of the amount of benefit received." 3 of the defendants allegedly submitted one or more false documentation for workers' compensation leave, forms that were signed by doctors attesting to examinations that never happened. So hopefully, also arrested should be the doctors writing these uh, false examination documentation. One defendant allegedly told his doctor that he was fully disabled and unable to work because of an alleged work, workplace eye injury, but was reportedly working as a state-funded home health aide. And the fifth defendant allegedly submitted over 24 sick leave notes over 2 years. The charges and alleged conduct were reported as Donovan is accused to have submitted 2 forged out of work notes documenting a false medical visit, resulting in close to 6,000 in improperly paid workers' compensation benefits. Third degree grand larceny, 2 counts of first degree offering a false instrument for filing. LaChance is accused of submitting 22 forged medical notes excusing him out of work as incapacitated and 1 forged note excusing him from work to take care of a minor. He reportedly received a little over 3,000 in sick leave payments. Third degree grand larceny, 2 counts of filing a false instrument for filing. Paulino is accused of submitting 2 forged DWCL forms documenting a non-existent doctor's appointment in November 2022 and March 2023, resulting in $1,719 in improperly paid benefits. Fourth degree grand larceny, 2 counts of offering a false instrument for filing. Porter is accused of submitting a forged DWCL form in November of 2021, resulting in $1,053.74 in improperly paid benefits. Fourth degree grand larceny, offering a false instrument for filing. Tacti is accused of claiming a disability and inability to work despite working as a home health aide through the state consumer directed personal assistance program. He allegedly continued to work for CDPAP while returning to work as a correction officer, reportedly receiving more than $4,700 in improper CDPAP wages and 4,281 in fraudulent workers' compensation benefits. 2 counts of third degree larceny, fraudulent practices, third degree insurance fraud, and health care fraud. According to the Inspector General's office, Tacti and LaChance remain employed by the Department of Corrections and Community Supervision. Porter and Donovan were terminated and Paulino resigned. This conduct worsens already severe staffing shortages within New York State correctional facilities. I'm going to stop it there because there's a point that I do want to bring out. During the whole correction officer strike, we saw correction officers parading their family members, their wives, holding up signs saying, "I want daddy to be home." So this propaganda machine was being pushed out in order to elicit compassion and sympathy for correction officers. But the problem that I have is we're not going to the root of the problem. The reason why you have some officers doing, double shifts, triple shifts is because of this widespread workers' compensation fraud that affects the facilities. It affects the staffing ratios. So therefore, you hear this. You heard during the demonstrations by COs, the protesting, but one thing you did not hear was why this is occurring. Why are these correctional facilities short-staffed. This criminal behavior of engaging in workers' compensation fraud affects not only the correction officers who do work and stay behind, it affects those people who are incarcerated, who don't get to go to religious services, who can't attend programs. So this is this is disgusting behavior, and it needs to be called out. Let's go back. This conduct worsens already severe staffing shortages within New York's correctional facilities, undermines rehabilitation programming, and jeopardizes the safety of both staff and the incarcerated population, said Inspector General Lang. As our prior reporting about rampant abuse of the workers' compensation system by DOC's officers reflects these crimes, both erode trust in government and drain resources that should be dedicated to workers' rights, public safety, and rehabilitation. Officials said Donovan, LaChance, Tacti were arraigned and released on their own recognizance. Paulino and Porter were issued desk appearance tickets and will be arraigned at a later date. And that, my friend, that is the end of the article. So very disappointing to cover the abuse of those incarcerated, the beatings, the torture, the murder. Not only that, Docs is a cesspool of financial corruption through workers' compensation fraud. If you haven't seen the live stream I did 7, 8 months ago, please go back into the lab, go back into my list of live streams and videos, and go over the PowerPoint demonstration, the PowerPoint that I made in reference to Lucy Lang's report. It's scathing. It shows the fraudulent activity, how widespread and rampant it is. It's disgusting, and it needs to stop. So, with that being said, I really don't have anything else. If one thing I will do, I did not do this my last stream. If somebody wants to come up and give me their opinion about the fraud in New York State docs, I'd love to hear from you. My only requirements for coming on the stream is that you show your face, you turn on your camera, no loud music in the back. And by the way, if you do come on, you click on share camera, share mic, and you click on enter studio. And that's how you'll be in the back with me. And I will bring you on. I will be respectful if you disagree with me. In fact, I would love to hear from people who disagree with me. If you consider yourself, quote unquote, pro correction officer, you want to come on. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, I have invited correction officers to come on the show, and none have taken me on that offer. If you are a correction officer and you do want to come on, I will be respectful. I would love to have a dialogue in terms of the system. If you disagree with me, I'd love to hear from you. So, with that being said, I really don't see anyone coming up on the in the studio to come on and chat with me. So I'm gonna wind this down. I'm gonna wind this down. And as I say in all of my videos, my goal is to go deeper than what the mainstream media is telling and sharing with you. So take care, God bless, and I will see you next time.